What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. You wake up late, already stressed about the day. You reach for your phone to order a taxi, check your kid's location, open your garage, or even just pay a fine before the deadline hits. But guess what? Nothing works. No connection, no apps, no GPS, no signal, nothing. Just that little spinning wheel mocking you, and that's it. Welcome to Putin's Russia in 2025, where the concept of digital convenience is now officially a myth, and everyday tech has joined the long list of national casualties. And no, this is not just some temporary outage or a random bug. This is systemic, nationwide, and terrifyingly routine. You're no longer being paranoid if they really are jamming your signal. You are slowly getting used to it. For a country obsessed with displaying high-tech weapons and AI-controlled drones in its military parades, it cannot even guarantee that its citizens can unlock their front doors or pay for bottled water. And yet, nobody is allowed to talk about it. There is no emergency broadcasts, no press conferences, no helpful guide on TV how to survive these times. You're just left there, standing like an idiot, wondering whether your daughter is actually lost in the woods or whether her GPS tracker is just being jammed by the Kremlin towers. Putin is testing total nationwide blackouts more and more frequently, and even though it feels like that the regular people pay no attention, at least inside they finally reacted. They heard the first troubling signs loud and clear, and they started thinking, finally. Could we be witnessing the beginning of something bigger? Let's see. So today, let's peel this digital onion layer by layer and see why the Russian internet is collapsing, who it is hurting, how deep the madness really goes, and how much more the people are willing to tolerate. Let's start with the most obvious punch in the face. The fact that modern-day Russia, in the middle of its glorious 21st century patriotic rebirth, cannot even keep its internet on. Entire cities are regularly plunged into the digital dark ages, and it is no longer just some remote Siberian towns. Moscow, St. Petersburg, Novosibirsk, Nizhny Novgorod, you name it, all are being affected by crashes, blackouts, and technical interruptions that never seem to even end. If anything, the residents of those bigger cities experience the jammers way more often than someone from rural areas. Which makes sense. Urban population is much heavier dependent on stable internet connection. The banking apps collapse. GPS loses its mind. Even the official fast payments system from the Central Bank of Russia, the lifeline of millions, well, just dies. No explanation, no accountability, just dead air, and that's pretty much it. Same spinning wheel. And yet, people keep wondering, is it just me? Maybe it's my phone only, maybe it's just my neighborhood, I don't know. That is the narrative we've all been fed. That is the local glitch, a minor disruption. That maybe an iPhone that your cousin brought you from Florida is not compatible with Russian cell towers, who knows? But when your neighbor in St. Petersburg cannot order a taxi, when someone in Moscow is locked out of their house because the app-controlled door will simply not open, or when somebody in Khabarovsk is missing their train because they cannot book a taxi, it is no longer a glitch, it is an actual policy. It is the war tactics being used against your own people. Oh, and don't even try to dare to pay a fine while the network is down. You will still get charged, yes. But twice, now and when the network is finally up, with no refund, don't worry. But yeah, surveillance systems that issue those fines, they always online. It's funny how it's only your convenience that's disposable, not the regime's control, right? Is Putin really so afraid of people thinking about the wrong stuff that he is ready to destroy all the technological progress of his country for the last 30 years? Well, it sure looks like this way. So how does taking Kyiv in 3 days sound now? Are things still going according to the plan? Which plan are we even talking about now? The plan to conquer Ukraine? Or the plan to isolate and tighten the grip on Russia even further? Maybe we were asking the very wrong questions after all. Maybe we misinterpreted the real intentions of Putin since the beginning. Maybe Ukraine was not his end goal after all. Could it be? Let's try to answer these questions in our next chapters. Some apologists, and you know the type, will say just, these are just minor technical hiccups. We are at war after all. Let's show some patriotism. Better be safe from drones than not being able to order food delivery. Really? That's your argument? Try telling that to a woman who could not track your daughter for 20 minutes because GPS thought she was sprinting through a forest with a car speed, only for her to walk calmly through the front door seconds later. Try telling that to a man locked out of his own house because his front door app glitched. Or the mother who could not collect her subsidized heart medication simply because the hospital's internet was down and now she has to spend 90% of her monthly pension buying it at full price in cash. No refunds as you would expect it as well. We're not talking about first world problems. We're talking about a society whose basic infrastructure is falling apart under the weight of its own paranoia. A state so obsessed with protecting, quote-unquote, itself from invisible so-called enemies, it ends up destroying the only thing still holding the population together. Public transport, online payments, hospital access, traffic control, all of these built on digital frameworks long time ago. And when those collapse, so does everything else. And before you think this is an exaggeration, well, people's apartments literally are being caught on fire and they almost die because they could not call the fire department. That's right, it is happening, these are real stories. We're not talking about buffering YouTube videos or slow game servers. We're talking about life and death, and the regime's indifference to it. That's the worst part of it all. It is very easy to get used to good and convenient things. Some 30, 40 years ago, people had no problem going to a library, for example, to do some research, to write a paper, or simply to find an answer to their question. Now with the access to the internet, I dare you guys to name any single teenager who did not Google something and found an answer in less than a minute. But going back to old times, sure, it might sound cozy and like life was easier back then, but then you remember all the inconveniences that you had to go through to do very basic things. Life was slower, yes, and more calm back then, because 5-minute online banking or online investing, which you can do right now from your smartphone, used to be a half-day plan with booking the appointment, waiting in line, talking to your financial advisor, and then going back by bus, stopping to buy some groceries and resting on the couch. I don't know. So even though many of us would want to go back in time, we will immediately find it much more difficult to do the routine stuff. And that is exactly where Putin's Russia is heading. When messages travel hours to reach a dozen people versus posting something online and thousands see it in seconds, it gives the regime so much more time to intercept the message and decide what to do with the person spreading the news. Could this be the real plan of Putin after all? Not Ukraine, but silencing Russia into oblivion. It sure looks like it more and more with each day passing, and with each new ridiculous law being adopted. But people must show at least some kind of resistance, or at least reaction, right? Let's talk about what do some Russian people think in our next chapter. Let's talk about the human stories. Not the statistics, not the systems, the everyday, humiliating, infuriating reality of living in this half-functioning hellscape. Students in St. Petersburg cannot prepare for exams because their mobile internet dies the night before. Elderly parents stranded on cemeteries because their kids could not order a ride. Women walking alone through dangerous areas because ride-sharing apps collapse after 9 p.m. People unable to pay for baby food or toilet paper because the scanners will not work and QR codes won't load. Then a woman drags 2 massive suitcases through the rain, missed her train, and cries in the bus because no cab would come and no number would connect. Or even a hospitalized patient recovering from surgery, left to just stare at the ceiling for days because even basic internet requires the internet now. You cannot watch TV shows, you cannot even watch Slavy Life. Or a gamer disqualified from a local esports tournament because he could not log in. And even that community, famously apolitical, started roasting the government in open chats. This is not a bug. It is not an accident. This is how the regime wants it to be. A fragmented, disconnected, disoriented population too exhausted and too confused to fight back. No coordination, no communication, no recourse. Just solitary citizens bumping into the walls of digital prison. One failed transaction, one missed ambulance, one lost child at a time. And if you're thinking this only affects the average Ivan and not the business elite, well, wrong. The entire food distribution system is broken because the government's mercury, first time I hear about it, but yeah, mercury quality control system has been malfunctioning for 3 weeks straight. Pickup points cannot fulfill basic deliveries. Pharmacies cannot access patient databases. It's like somebody hit Alt F4 on the whole country and just walked away whistling. And we know exactly who is that person with the keyboard. As the reactions and dissatisfaction started to show, it might be small now, mostly among much younger generations, but any small spark can start a big fire. Kids complaining about the internet to their parents will eventually make the parents listen. And then parents themselves will be like, you know what, he's actually right. I don't remember the last time I was able to reach the city center with GPS working all the way until the end and not just using the street signs. Then more questions will arise. And when most of these questions are left without answers, it brings so much uncertainty and distrust in the future, both of which are so feared by the regime who will do everything possible to achieve the holy grail of them all, stability. Let's not kid ourselves. This did not start in a vacuum. This is not about bandwidth or bad code. This is about control. Jammers, blackouts, and outages are being used as weapons. The war that's allegedly being fought outside Russia right now is being fought inside, with the government treating its own people as potential threats. Turn off the internet to prevent drone strikes? I mean, sure, but while you're at it, why not just also prevent citizens from communicating, organizing, or, God forbid, protesting? And it's not just about temporary outages, it's about who gets affected. Civilian networks down, payment systems frozen, hospitals offline, but surveillance cameras functioning, traffic fines processed, military bases, full signal bars. This is not some cyber error, this is by design, man-made. And the worst part, nobody's accountable, nobody explains anything. You just go about your day, dodging potholes in real life, and then signal holes in the digital one. Even if this was just to jam drones, the question remains, why does an entire country have to live in chaos just so one man can stay in power? Who decided that sacrificing your entire digital life was a reasonable trade-off for protecting half-empty government buildings from imaginary threats? And once again while we're at it, let's not forget the other invincible battles. People are losing their citizenships without trial, literally. One day you're a citizen, the next day you're not. Because somebody at the FSB scribbled your name on a memo, and the police just went okay, cool, let's just ruin another life today, I guess. It happened to Boris Nadezhdin's campaign manager, Dmitry Kisiev. He was born in Crimea, got Russian citizenship, helped a candidate run for president, and then, boom, erased. Just like that. It's not just digital disenfranchisement, it's the full-on collapse of the concept of rights. Rights to internet, rights to identity, rights to legal defense, rights to exist. You are just a walking QR code now, and once the system stops recognizing it, you are no longer a person. The question is not whether you can survive another internet crash. I mean, yeah, you can. The real question is, why the hell are you still okay with living like this? Wake up, people. Well, there you have it, guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you wish to support our work and keep the Russian youth independent, there are links down below, for example, PayPal donations. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
To sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.